Hi, Buzz.
There we go. Howdy, neighbors.
Hey.
I'll give a heads up to those of you who are unaware. The Design Review Board meeting for the Brickyard Cove PG&E project is going on. And right now, or in the next 10 or 15 minutes, they're opening public comments. So we can anticipate that we will not have 40 to 60 people today. Because when I looked at the list of people in that meeting, it was everybody in Brickyard Cove. Or almost everybody. So we'll wait a couple minutes. We're waiting for Lisa's here. She's multitasking, monitoring both meetings. Hoping Charmaine is joining us in a few minutes. Or in a minute or two. And then we'll get started.
Phil?
Yes, sir.
I believe that Charmaine said that she was going to be in Southern California somewhere, was going to be cell phone challenge or phone challenged.
Okay. Well, it should be pretty easy for us to get the board members to agree on stuff because there's only going to be a few of us today. So, and then we'll be joined. Folks are starting to sign in now. Thanks, Buzz. We'll be joined by the new principal of Washington Elementary School, and hopefully by the PTA president as well. So it's going to be a little bit about neighborhood kids today. With your permission, I'm just going to put it off another couple minutes before we call the meeting to order, just to let people sign in. I know that, as I mentioned, there were some people who were in the DRB, the design review meeting, and I see some members that I haven't seen in a long time. So welcome, folks. And I'm going to go to my calendar because I forgot to write something down. That is all righty, we're getting closer to a full house. How about 2 more minutes? Anybody object to 2 more minutes?
No. We still got people coming.
Hi. Oh, I'm glad to see Layla here, our PTA president. Even though she lives right next door to me, somehow she has a view of the Golden Gate Bridge, I guess, huh?
I'm also in Reno with 2 kids, so
Oh my.
if you see me not here, but you hear me, I'm putting them to bed. And
But if we hear a slot machine,
No.
you're not excused. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on your family vacation. Are you snowed in yet?
no, there was a little snow, but we're expecting snow the next couple of days. Yeah, it's been nice. We're on our winter break, so get out of town.
Yeah, no kidding. I was trying to reach the elementary school all week and then realized they were closed for most of the week. So I thought, oh, that receptionist is sleeping on the job. Hello, Councilperson Zapata. Thank you for joining us. 2 consecutive, Caesar's with us 2 consecutive meetings in a row. It's never been done in years. All righty, you ladies and gentlemen, want to call this meeting to order? Buzz, do you have anyone lined up in there?
No, well, we got everybody in. We're at 37 people.
So far, so good. This is a pretty good meeting. So for those of you who are dubious about Zoom, I will remind you that 20 people was our normal meeting. So it's not perfect, Zoom isn't, but it does work well for us. So it's now 7:33. Our secretary is not here today. So Margie's going to do the best she can to scribble some notes. So it's 7:33 and I'd like to call this meeting to order. And quickly try to find my, here it is, my agenda. So let's see, and Lisa Johnson has pointed out that the board members are supposed to vote or to approve the minutes. So I will ask if the board members will just all agree or disagree to approve the minutes from the last meeting of January 25th. Board
Agree.
members, do we all
I will
agree?
agree.
Uh-huh. Approved.
Yes.
Margie, Lisa, and that's all of us. Great. This is faster when folks don't show up. Thanks, Buzz.
You have
Sorry,
a hand.
Philip, Sally
Sally.
Coben has her hand raised.
Hi, Sally.
Hi, I think somebody's autocorrect went rogue on the minutes because at the very end, there's something about offers in Point Malate. And that was my announcement that there were otters in.
Oh.
Point Malate. So no big deal, just mentioning.
So if Margie, if you'd be so kind as to
Yeah.
please point out that Sally says she is offering anyone who wants an otter, they can, no, to please correct that typo.
Okay.
Either that or we'll forget to correct it and we'll all have a good laugh in the future trying to
Yeah.
figure out what we were talking about. Well, never, I'm not gonna make any off-color jokes. Okay, so we can get started now then. Board has approved the minutes. We will make a correction of that typo. Thank you, Sally. That's hysterical. And we'll go on. Do we have Sergeant Patchen or this is a new name for me, Officer Tagorda?
Sergeant
today?
Sergeant Patchen should be here. I saw him come in.
Yeah, this is Tagorda.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Florida is our beat officer.
Thank you. I did get the pronunciation right. Thank you for, so welcome. And what do you have to report for us? I know that I've got a few things that neighbors have asked me to report to you or to mention to you.
And I'm also sharing the screen for them to go over the statistics for the month right now. Can you guys see that okay?
Yep. Yes.
So take it away. I don't know who's presenting, if it's going to be.
Give me just one. It'll be me then.
I think you have a bad connection. Everybody's very quiet.
Yeah, we should have a moment of silence in remembrance of the 8 windshields that were shattered in my neighborhood over the last 2 days. May they rest in peace.
Well, Sergeant Patchen is trying to get that going. I am the beat officer for the day shift, Monday through Thursday. I mean, you guys have any questions for me? I mean, while Sergeant Patchen's getting his issues resolved on his end.
Sure, I'll take the ball. So I did want to comment, I just made a joke about it, and I actually understated. To my understanding, according to emails I've received, there were 8 windows or mostly driver's side windows or passenger side windows, 8 shattered on Tewksbury. I'm sorry, 4 shattered on Tewksbury. There were 4 on the corner of West Richmond and Tunnel, which is basically kind of across the street from the pub. I didn't witness the 4 on Tewksbury, but I witnessed the 4 on the other corner. That's my hood. And then I passed an additional 3 or 4 in front of Mechanics Bank while walking my dog today. What I witnessed was 4 different colors of glass. So I didn't see the actual cars. So that was So it appears obvious, and the cars were rifled through and stolen according to the stuff stolen, if there was anything in there, according to the neighbors. So it sounds like there were no property crimes, or these might not have been reported. And of course, this is something we encourage people to do, so that when you go to the city council and say, everything's fine, there are no property crimes, or property crimes are down, it is not because people are just have given up on reporting them. So I don't know if you know anything about that, if you've heard anything about that, if you're in a position to comment, but I've been asked repeatedly to bring that up by the neighbors.
So what exactly is your question? I mean, obviously there's evidence of cars being broken into, and that's happening all throughout the city of Richmond, not just the Point. Again, as you know, we have a huge influx of transients and homeless, which contributes to a lot of what's going on, especially along the 580 corridor over there. As you've seen, there's a bunch of homeless encampments along the railroad tracks, and then you have people who are parking overnight, and along Miller Knox and the beachfront property over there. It's kind of all over. So we're doing our best to try to combat those things, and try to do what we can to try to deter those things. But unfortunately, it's happening throughout Richmond and throughout the state of California. And
we understand. It's just been kind of a conspicuous rash. We always ask for the same thing,
right.
as much patrol as possible, and we fully understand what the answer is. There's not enough of you, and I'm pretty sure that most of Point Richmond wishes there were more of you.
Well, absolutely, but real quick, I mean, and not to get into politics, but the problem is also our judicial system. Our judicial system is not doing enough to drive a point to these people that are doing the crimes, because a lot of these folks know nothing's going to happen to them, right? Nothing. So, and they know there's not enough cops out there, and it's rampant, unfortunately. So until our judicial system kind of gets on the ball and says enough is enough, and start prosecuting these people and having harsher punishments, I mean, it's going to continue, unfortunately.
Okay, I just wanted to bring it to your attention, and
we're quite aware, and we do
let the neighbors know that we brought it to your attention.
Absolutely.
Was that for the burglaries there, Philip, or which one was it?
That's the vandalisms and everything like that, and the Autobergs.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 12 that we know of, the car break-ins.
I don't think our stats are reflecting that, right? Not reported, or do we know?
It appears not.
Okay.
Yeah, so I while you were fixing your connection.
Of course, it's going to go down right as we start the meeting. Sorry about that.
That's okay. We all have those issues. So I scrolled down while he was reviewing this. So why don't we start from the top, and then we can just highlight again. It looks like that rash of car window breakage isn't all reflected here, and that's likely due to people not filing claims. So
right.
Does that reflect the online reporting?
It does reflect that. As far as, were they actual completed auto burglaries? Were they just windows that were broken out, or what were they? Do you know?
It appears to be both. The 4 along the bank would not have been likely residents parked overnight. So I can only guess. And then 3 neighbors told me that their cars were rifled through. And then the other ones we don't know about. But it's a beautiful fish tank of broken. It's very pretty in our streets. It's just
where was that? Where was that at again?
There were 3 or 4 on Tewksbury. There appeared to have been 4 in front of Mechanics Bank, which would have been last night or late yesterday afternoon.
Okay.
So I'm just looking at 4 different colors of glass in 4 parking spaces.
Okay.
So I didn't see the cars. And then there were 2 on West Richmond and 2 on Tunnel. So that's catty corner from the pub.
Okay.
So I understand there's little we can do. I encourage people to phone it in or to save you time and actually just process it online, just so the city knows what's going on. And maybe more patrols would have helped if you happen to be by, but that happens fast, and we're adults, we understand.
Right. Honestly, the best recommendation that we have for that, Philip, and without being too callous, I hear people complain, they're like, this is the fourth time my car got broken into and my backpack was stolen off my back
Right.
seat. And the problem is that, you know, it doesn't matter really what area you live in. Again, I came from the sheriff's office prior to that, and I worked down in Alamo and Danville, and they're like, we live in such a affluent area. Why do we have these problems? Well, because you have nice things and you leave your car unlocked and you leave your wallet in your car with your cell phone overnight, and the crooks will commute to go where the loot is at, kind of, right? And
Mhm.
so the trend that we're really seeing is that they're in and out within 30 seconds. So the extra controls can somewhat deter, but I'm sure everybody's seen the videos, even online, of in broad daylight in San Francisco, they walk up, they smash your window. The biggest thing that we can impart on people is that, you know, me personally, I don't leave anything out my car. It doesn't matter whether it's a t-shirt, a jacket, or a gym bag. They don't know what's in it. And they're gonna break the window, they're gonna grab what's out of the car, and they're gonna get your dirty gym clothes, and you're gonna be out a $300 window, unfortunately. So extra patrols can somewhat help deter, but really the big thing is that just really don't leave anything out in your car that looks like it could be of value at all. That's the biggest deterrent. Is they look in the windows, they look to see whether there's anything that looks like it's of value. If there is, they pop the window. It takes less than 10 seconds. They have tools that make it basically silent, and then they're able to get the property out of the car and leave.
Right. It's also been suggested, and in my household, we've taken to leaving we have SUVs. We leave the back seats folded down and nothing in the trunk so that the thieves can see that there's nothing in the back, because apparently that's a
Yes.
trend to break the back window and then open the back seat, look into the trunk, and if there's something there, then they do further damage.
Yeah, a big issue on the south side, not Point Richmond specific, but a big issue is over at the Pacific East Mall, because there's so many travelers that are on the way to the airport. They know they're in rental cars and they have luggage in the back seat. And we've combated it, and we've gotten the numbers down a little bit, but it's been a huge issue over there for that exact reason. They break the back window, they go underneath the luggage cover, they grab a couple of bags, and they might get a laptop or something out of it, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Right, just to piggyback on that real quick, you know, just be mindful if you're shopping, be mindful who's watching you, right? Because a lot of folks will park, especially if they're casing the parking lot or watching who's buying what. If they see that you're buying a TV or buying that Louis Vuitton bag or whatever it is, right? Electronics, they'll follow you or watch you, and as soon as you're not looking, they'll just pull up right next to your car, smash the window, and grab it. So always be mindful. Also with that, same thing with the banks. So that's a huge trend right now, which these guys are doing, is if you go to a bank and withdraw money, be mindful who's watching you and be mindful who's following you. They're starting to case banks and watch people go into them and withdraw money. And then what they do is they follow them. And as soon as they stop at a traffic light, they're smashing their window and grabbing your purse, wallet, or whatnot. So just be mindful, because that's a huge trend that's going on right now.
Great tip. Thank you.
Okay, so I've scrolled this up to the top, Sergeant Passion.
So, I mean, I think the good thing is that even with our increased reporting that we previously discussed, that there's still a 51% increase if you look year to year. So if we're looking at 22 to 23, we had 16 incidents. And again, we kind of discussed this last time. That's going to be cases where an actual report was generated, not just calls for service. But we had 16 case numbers drawn for that time period versus 33 for that same time period the previous year. One thing we discussed, and I really haven't been able to quantify, but there's discussions about the Point Richmond versus other areas of the city. I know the report that I have generated right now, it has just case numbers. Are you guys interested in just total numbers of calls for service in the Point Richmond area also? Or are you guys just more interested in an incident where a case number is actually generated?
Both. I'm interested in both.
Okay.
And I mean, I think our discussion earlier is just a great example, which, you know, the police chief has discussed at city council meetings and in various other forums, that there's just, you know, property crime in general is deceptively low because people are not reporting. And they knew this was going to be an issue when they went to online reporting or people having to go to the police station to file a report. It's just, you know, a higher activation energy. And so we know that reporting is low
Right, and I think people are, I mean, it's multifaceted. I think, you know, you have the perfect storm of we're shorthanded, so there's longer wait times. So you have people that just don't want to wait, so then they don't answer their phone later on. It takes us longer to get to them, or the online reporting requirements. I think the other thing is that there's an acknowledgement that there's not a lot we can do to solve the crime, so why report it is kind of the viewpoint. Unfortunately for us as a department, what that does is it makes it appear that crime is falling when us on the streets know that's not the actual case. That, you know, we're responding to calls to service. We're the ones that are, no, I don't want to report taken. I just want you to be aware. So the stats don't necessarily reflect all the calls that are happening. But if you just look at the pen to paper, it's going to look like they're falling.
Yeah.
So are there any other hands raised, Philip? I don't see any, but my screen's limited for sharing.
I don't either.
I have one question, and it's kind of based off of an item that was on the city council last night that unfortunately they ran out of time and didn't get to, and that's the RPD putting a proposal on there for the flock cameras, which are license plate readers, which, you know, many in the community want. Obviously there's concerns about that, and I know that Flock has stated they don't report. The city would be reporting, so they wouldn't be doing ICE reporting and those types of things. But for those of you that don't know, there was a fatality, I think it was last weekend, at near Cutting in Carlson, where a woman was walking in the crosswalk and a car came and hit her. She flew like 30 yards or 30 feet, something like that, and was killed. And there used to be an active camera there, and it was used in a crime I was on a jury and solved. And that camera is no longer operational. And it's my understanding that a lot of the cameras in the city are not operational. And this is the reason why this is on there. And I'm hoping it does get approved. And I'm just curious if you can speak to, so that woman, there's no good witness for what happened to her. There's no great description of the vehicle that hit her. So here we are with a woman that's lost her life. And if we'd had a camera at that key intersection, it could have potentially helped find who killed her. And so I just am curious if there's any cameras that are being considered in the Point Richmond area, given the propensity of where sideshows happen and where they tend to get on freeways. And since we have some critical freeway on-ramps and on-ramps near here, and we've had sideshows here, if any of the intersections near Point Richmond are being considered as one of those 30 installations for the flock cameras.
I'll kind of break it down and try and address those as we kind of worked our way through it. So yes, there used to be a camera cutting Carlson. It is still there from what I understand. However, we have a lack of funding, and the camera maintenance guy that we have on contract, he was severely injured. He's not in the field anymore. So the camera system is kind of slowly imploding and degrading on itself. That being said, even if that camera was there, I did work the traffic unit for almost 5 years prior to my current assignment, and I can tell you that the camera most likely wouldn't have given us a clear plate. When it comes to plate reading technology, when it comes to actionable stuff that we can get from those videos, we are incredibly behind the times. I chuckle a little bit because there's this fear of us sharing information with ICE and that we're going to, you know, share all this license plate data information. What I can tell you is that throughout the entire perimeter of our city, there are those cameras that are operated by other municipalities and other cities, so that data is already being collected. There's cameras on the freeway. I believe that San Pablo has close to 100 to 200 cameras, to other municipalities having those cameras. So we are very much so unable to follow up. I can tell you of at least, I can think of 2, if not 3 collisions off the top of my head that if we had had a flock camera or something similar, somebody was killed and there was a license plate on that car. And even we had video of it from the old city camera system, and I was not able to follow up or do anything on that as a traffic investigator because I did not have a plate. So with the flock cameras, it would give us, I'm not saying it would solve the crime. They could have had fake license plates. They could have had, you know, there's a lot of what ifs, but it would have given us another tool to follow up on. I'm a huge proponent of it. We're extremely behind the times. If we want to be able to solve crimes, this is a huge step in being able to make that happen. As far as the locations of those cameras, you're correct. I believe the initial proposal is for 30. That's what we're pushing for. There's a whole algorithm that Flock develops, and they have locations throughout basically the perimeter of the city in which they recommend placement of the cameras. I don't know if the actual locations of those have been solidified or cemented at this time. I was part of the committee that received the proposal from Flock, and I saw the locations. The hope is that if we can get this through, we can hopefully expand later on. I don't know for sure if there are any in the Point Richmond area, but I know basically the ingress and egress points of the city, because that's where we're going to capture the most data of people coming and going from the city if they're here committing crimes. So I'll leave that with the Flock cameras, but let me follow up a little bit more because there's a little bit of a misnomer. I'm also on the social media team. I was the one that posted about the sideshow where we were able to tow a car off some information that was gleaned. Unfortunately, the laws in the state of California, let's just say we had a Flock camera at the sideshow, and it gives us all of these plates that were at the sideshow. Unfortunately, the way that the law works in the state of California, unless I personally, as a police officer, saw the car committing a violation and can say that I saw that license plate spinning donuts or doing something, video that somebody sends me later on after the fact, I can't really take enforcement action from that. The way the law reads is it has to be a misdemeanor that is committed in my presence in order for me to take action. It has to be an infraction that is committed in my presence in order for me to take action on that. So we can follow up and try and speak with people about it, but unless a police officer saw the crime occurring, it occurred in front of them, or they were watching a live video feed of that crime, it's great. We can have the data, we can watch for trends, we can see if they're doing it at other locations, but I can't go tow those cars, I can't go arrest those drivers, I can't issue citations unless it physically occurred in front of me. Or the one caveat is that if I was watching it live on camera and I was able to identify where that location was at. Does that answer that range of questions you had?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Any last hands up before we let the officers go back to their families and sleep and other such things?
Officer Tagore has been up since midnight, so I'm sure he'll appreciate it.
6 hours of sleep in the last 48 hours.
Gentlemen,
Sorry.
we're trying to get you help. I
I
swear.
know. We know that you guys support us and we appreciate it, and that's where we're trying to get you the information that you guys need. I mean, we're doing the best we can. I think you guys are doing the best you can.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining us, and we do appreciate your time this late in the evening.
All right. Thank you very much. You guys have a great night.
Thank
Thanks,
you guys.
guys.
Appreciate it. Stay
Bye.
safe.
So I'm going to keep it really brief now so we can try to catch up on time a little bit. We are shortly going to be saying thank you for, I think it's 6 years of service to Buzz Bayless, who is going to step away from his numerous positions at the Point Richmond Neighborhood Council, hopefully not too far away. So we will be looking for a replacement to function as the second vice president and membership chair. So please, please nominate yourself or nominate someone you know who would like to be more involved. All the board members are constantly getting suggestions and sometimes criticisms for the way we make our decisions. So now you can be one of the people who makes those decisions. We are also considering adding an at-large position and are specifically looking for someone who's very tech savvy. We want to have these videos up on YouTube or other sharing platforms. And we would like to kind of take tech-related responsibilities and set them aside. So if there's someone who is tech savvy that you know, or if you are tech savvy and would like to take a look to see how you might be able to participate, but maybe it's not going to be a particularly as much activity, please let us know. You can contact us through the website, or you can contact me directly at prnc.pres, P-R-E-S, @gmail.com. Could you toss that, somebody toss that in the or I'll toss it in a few minutes into the comments. We also have some grants that we have access to apply for by March. Grants are complicated. We've had a few suggestions. One neighbor suggested that we try to do something to provide shelter at our 2 bus benches. But we do believe that might also involve not just the city, but AC Transit. So that was one suggestion we can look into. So there is grant money available, but please bear in mind that the board members have to execute those projects. So even though the projects are there, we may not have bandwidth to execute them. So any of you who, and I'll put my email into the comments. Anybody who would like to suggest something they see in the neighborhood that we might be able to apply for a grant for, get it and manage, throw it out there and let's see if that's something we can handle. The last thing I want to mention, and I forgot to mention while the officers were here, Lisa Johnson has been working really closely with the police department and the city manager's office to have those suspicious, and Caesar, thank you. I forgot to mention you, to have those vehicles monitored or towed that are on East Richmond by the elementary school. It has certainly become a dumping ground for commercial vehicles. There was a huge bus there. It was a commercial vehicle. I was able to contact that person who, when I found out who it was, and can persuade him to move that giant bus. And I think it will stay moved. Because sometimes that's the easiest way, but I think we're working on getting those vehicles out of the way. So I want to wrap that up so we can get back to our treasurer's report, our membership report. And is Principal Alvarado on? Do we see him? We do not. So we'll definitely at least get on to Layla.
Oh, sorry, I am here. I
Oh,
apologize.
okay. I didn't see you. I'm sorry. I didn't see you on my screen. I apologize. So we're going to just do a couple minutes with Marky Sullivan, back to Buzz, and then we can introduce Mr. Alvarado.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Treasury report, we're in good shape. We have over 20,000 in the bank, and we're really close to get the city of Richmond a grant that we're working on, which are difficult, no question. Membership.
Thank you, Margie. Checks have been rolling in, and also to PayPal. We have now bordering on 160 paid members. So, you know, through the pandemic, we were somewhere less than 100, and now we're up to where we normally are, if not a little bit above. So keep those checks and online paying coming, please.
Yeah, remember that's due in May, your dues, 20
Yep.
bucks for
And
household, still the
yep.
best deal in town. And neighbors, thanks for spreading the word, because you are bringing new residents in to our community. So now it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Alvarado. He is the new president and the now, principal and now full-time principal of Washington Elementary. And we also have Layla Dima, who works closely with him as the PTA president. Between Mr. Al, somebody needs to mute. So, between Mr. Alvarado and Layla, they can introduce us to what's happening a little in the elementary school, and also what is going to be happening concerning the sharing of Judge Carroll Park. Welcome.
No, thank you. If it's okay, PTA president, if I can start really quick with introducing myself. So my name is Juan Carlos Alvarado, and I wanted to share a little bit of information about me. I'm the new leader at Washington Elementary, and I just wanted to share some information, and then you know, our PTA president will share with you some of the amazing things that are happening. Together we can do that. So I am going to share, I do have a quick PowerPoint, you know, just super excited to have been selected as the principal at Washington Elementary. I am excited to lead a true dual immersion program, a Spanish program. I am a bilingual person myself. So it is an honor to be leading Washington Elementary, which is a community school for the entire district for families that want their students to learn 2 languages. Just really quick, I am from the Bay Area. I grew up in San Jose, California. I was born in Mexico, so Spanish is my first language. At the age of 10, in 5th grade, I came to this country. So I did go through middle school, high school. I was able to, get into the teaching profession as a bilingual teacher, having had my B class from San Jose State. But I was recruited to the University of California, Berkeley, to get my administrative credential in my master's, because at the time, Berkeley felt the need of having more leaders who could lead bilingual programs. So I was recruited there. I was able to get the tools that I'm going to need, to move Washington into honestly the best bilingual program in the area. I am very proud to say that I'm currently doing my doctoral program at Cal State East Bay. I feel that I'm a lifelong learner, and it is important to show our kids that you're always learning. I do want to say that the vision and mission of Washington Elementary is that all of our students become biliterate and not only speak the language, but they are able to learn empathy and learn about other cultures so they can become great citizens, of the 21st century. Actually, California has a policy called the Global California 2030, which California is helping school districts so that every district has, bilingual programs to offer for our parents, and that in California, anybody who wants to study a second language has that possibility, such as Washington Elementary. Washington Elementary is a special program because we do recruit 50% of, English-only parents, meaning parents that English is their first language and Spanish is not at home or anywhere else. But we do also recruit 50% of parents that are Spanish speakers, and that's the vision of the program. That's why it's called a dual immersion program, because what the research says is the kids and the families really end up supporting each other, and they're able to learn about each other's culture, and they're able to support, with our Spanish speakers learning English, and our English only parents really, having that Spanish be model for them in the classroom in other ways. As a leader, I do value relationships. Growth mindset is very important for me. And as the leader of Washington, I must say that I'm an instructional leader. That's one of the reasons why I was elected at Washington, is to continue to grow the craft of our teachers so they can continue to provide the best quality education for the students, and then leading for equity. And what does that mean? Is just celebrating accomplishments. We value all perspectives, fairness and subjectivity, and we motivate. That's what I mean by leading for equity. I am a strong advocate of bilingual education. That's my mother and my father. One language sets you in a corridor for life. 2 languages open every door along the way. I am a true advocate for bilingual education. Right away, one of the things that I wanted to share with you is, as a principal and as a leader, I am an asset-based leader. You will almost never hear me talk in a deficit thinking. what does that mean is everybody has something to bring to the table. And that's the approach that I take as a leader. This is our wonderful school. This is your school. I hope you can come visit us. I must say that I just started in November. So my job right now is to listen, to observe, and to get to know my community. That's why I'm so excited to be here, because this is something that is going to allow me to truly advocate for our school. One of the early things that we have been working on is drop-off. I understand that drop-off was a big concern for our parents. It's not perfect yet, but it's something that together with the staff and the teachers, we were able to provide a safer guidelines for parents. We're currently working on pickup. And that's something that is going to take some work right now, just making sure everybody's safe, but at the same time, making sure that I'm out there, I listen to people and talk to people. And that's something that as a principal, I'm really, really working towards next year. I do want to say that we have a kinder tour coming up. This is going to be our third one. Because remember, we have to recruit students, from all, we're a school that we are open to the entire community, and we need to recruit. Recruiting it's a everyday thing for me. So our next one is March 8th from 9 to 10. If you want to come over and learn a little bit more about our school, you're more than welcome. I am happy to say that we have the best PTA in the whole state of California. I must say this. I collaborate with a lot of principals, and our PTA is very strong. They truly advocate for our school. They collaborate and they support their principal. I have been supported. One of the reasons why, things are improving at Washington and getting better is, believe me, it's not because of me. It's because of everybody's hard work and everybody's support towards me. So I can go ahead and just do my job, which is to provide a safe and quality environment for our students. And everything starts with parent engagement. I'm going to stop right there. I'm pretty sure, our PTA, I'm going to stop sharing. Our PTA president, Ms. Leila, has some other information. One of the things that we are currently working on is the International Festival. That's going to be our big event. And we're also focusing on an event at the end of the year where kids do a field day, which we go outside and as a community spend some time together, working hard on the yearbook. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, everybody, for making it to this type of meetings. Your leadership truly matters. And I'm here. Our school is always open for you, and I'm only a phone call away. So thank you so much for providing me this opportunity. Oh, sorry, Mr. Phillip, I think you're muted.
Sorry, I wanted to thank you, Mr. Alvarado, and ask Leila to chime in about the PTA, what they're up to, and comment a little bit about what's going to happen at Judge Carroll Park and how the community can help support that effort.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Alvarado, for also being our new principal. You've been amazing. We're very much trying to work on the drop-off and the pickup to make it safe for our kids with the crosswalks and information on how it goes. But also another thing we were working on, I noticed at our school is it's all asphalt, and these kids need a little access to green space. We've had meetings, I guess, before with the city leaders, and they've offered use of the park through a joint use agreement. So we're going to request use of the park during school days. school hours, weekdays, for our students to at least enjoy a little bit of the green space. I understand this might be controversial because there's a lot of folks that use that park as a dog park, which of course I love dogs. We all love dogs. But also the other day we wanted to go play some soccer and it was completely covered with poop, obviously the gopher holes, but we just want to make the park my dream, not just for the school, but to make the park accessible for everyone, which including the dog. Give the dogs a proper dog park, give them a small dog park, make it for them and for school and activity use. Maybe we want to do soccer, maybe we want to do actual baseball, fly a kite, have a picnic. Just make it something for everyone to enjoy. But again, the city has agreed that we are able to use it, and I do plan to use that, but I wanted to inform obviously the neighborhood that we will. I know they use it in the summer for the Berkeley STEM programs, and everyone has been very kind, and I've never seen anyone go in there with a dog while the children are in that space. And I would hope that they would be as graceful, gracious as when we plan to use it, when that does happen. That's pretty much sums up my opinions about stuff. We will need obviously proper supervision, which we will be getting. Also, I want to start informing the neighborhood with signs, and just obviously the first start is with you guys and letting you guys know. So thank you so much.
Thanks. And I do want to mention to the community, I own a dog who has run free in that park in the past. Many of the people I see here in front of me have dogs in that park. It is not too soon to continue to remind people to have good dog etiquette. Pick up after the dogs. If you see them digging, please remind them we are there. The use of that as a dog park is a courtesy. It is not official. And so we don't want to lose it as a dog park and make it dangerous for the kids. So I think together, hopefully we can resolve this. Leila mentioned the possibility of cordoning off some areas. It's been an ongoing conversation, and that's way too long for this meeting. Are there any other activities that you'd like to talk about, Leila? Or is that your major thing, what's happening in the park now?
That's it. I mean, we're planning a school dance at the school on St. Patrick's Day. So if there's parents or in the neighborhood, also, again, I'll plug the yearbook. If you have a business, please do an advertisement in our yearbook. Our yearbook ads are there forever. They're not going away. They're gonna be in there. They're in the school library. Someone will see your ad in our school forever. It doesn't just have to be Richmond. If you're a lawyer, you have a business at home, just again, buy an ad for our local school. And then just any events that we have, if they're open to the school community, like our movie nights, please. Maybe you don't go to our school, but you have kids that are in the neighborhood or grandkids. Bring them by. They're welcome to come. You know, we have raffles, we have food for sale, and come and just enjoy an event. And we try to make it a nice community events for our whole neighborhood.
Thanks so much. I see Gary Hurlbut has a question for whom?
Yeah, I do. I was involved I was on the neighborhood council before. I was involved looking at partitioning off part of the park to make it a dog friendly section, if you will. That didn't get completed. I don't know if that's being thought about at all in what you're proposing with the city. I did stop by the rec department yesterday and asked about the joint use agreement. And so a question I do have in you, because they said it's still not resolved. It's in front of the school board, if I understand it right. But do you have any, either Mr. Alvarado or Ms. Dima, do you have any comments around what's actually specified in the proposed agreement between the school district and the city?
I don't have, sorry, I don't have any information. Ms. Leila, Ms. Dima.
We can have another meeting with the folks just to clarify but we're just getting the ball rolling. We have to fill out a form and formally request the use. And then we were just gonna use it again for a few hours in the day for these kids to get out in the grass and do some sports. Because really all of it, what they're doing on the concrete is they're just not having fun. Then they can look through the fence and they see all these wonderful grass and they're not being able to use it. So sorry if I'm not being specific to your question, but we can have also bring the board meeting, board members on from the city to maybe clarify what use the agreement pertains, because I'm not very good at all the agreements.
One last, let me make an offer. Yeah, I actually run the tennis program in Richmond, and we actually looked at running tennis programs at Washington before COVID happened. And so that also got stopped. But if you look at considering it, I'm glad to participate. I work a lot with the rec department and was involved before on dog park, et cetera. So if I'd be glad to participate in your ongoing conversations. I may be able to help with that.
I think most people, yeah, I'm sorry. I think most people in the community would agree that Gary and his wife, Maren, probably know more about as much about the Parks Department as many of the city officials. So thanks for that offer. And we also have some ideas that we'd like to float concerning the use of the tennis courts, but that's a complicated, I'm sorry, the basketball hoops, but that's a complicated conversation for another time. Anybody else have any questions? I see. Hi, AJ. AJ has a question. You're on mute.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I was just not clear about that last exchange. I heard there is an agreement, and then I heard maybe there isn't an agreement, and then I heard we have to clarify the agreement. So where exactly what did I miss? I'm a little unclear. The answer to the gentleman's question seemed vague about what exactly is in the agreement, and the response seemed to indicate that maybe the agreement has not yet been nailed down.
Well, we just have to, yeah, I'm sorry for that. The joint use agreement, I don't have it in front of me, but the city said that we are able as a school, since we don't have access to green space, are able to use an adjoining park for free. We don't have to rent it, but we have to apply. We have to send in the dates that we want to use it and the time. We have to give obviously notice to the community, and then make sure it's properly supervised. So we just got the form to request a certain, request the days. This is our first meeting about it, letting the neighborhood know, because I want obviously give you guys proper, notice that that's what we plan to do. I don't think we filled out the forms yet. It's taking a slow time. We have to make sure it's properly supervised, but I just wanted to let everyone know that this is the process that we have started.
Thank you. Now I'm clear. Thank you.
Right, and it can be a little challenging. And while we're on the topic of children, I do want to mention a little housekeeping update. And I see that Diane is here from Women's West Side. The city's oldest park is the Janus Play Lot on the corner of Nickel and Washington. We are moving forward in discussions with the city to, as quickly as possible, hire the landscaping team to clean up those trees. And the city is working very close with us to fix the playground equipment, some of which is broken or dangerous, and just to give it a basic refresh. So we did receive a generous grant from the Gateway Foundation for that. I'm kind of spearheading that, but there is going to be a neighborhood cleanup day, and that will include snacks. And hopefully by the time we get to that, it will be mostly cleaned up already. So stay tuned on that project. That park is important to the history of Richmond. It cost the city $1 in 1908. So it was a good bargain. And we're on that, and we will be inviting PTA parents, of course, and reminding them when that happens. Any last questions? I'd like to thank Principal Alvarado and Leila Dima for joining us. We hope to hear more from you. And we will also, Leila overlaps with Pram a lot. So we'll be seeing her a little bit at the Spring Fling, and a little bit more on, or someone from Pram, a little bit more on that later. Thank you very much, Principal Alvarado and Leila Dima. Thanks for joining us. Okay, moving on along. All righty, on the agenda, we had members of the LUDRC land use to speak on the Keller Beach Shoreline Sanitary Sewer meeting. For those of you who are unaware, I'll give a very quick recap. They are moving the sewer line off of Keller Beach, which is currently often underwater during high tide. And I'm just going to give like the Reader's Digest version. They want to pull that up into the neighborhoods. So who I do see who attended a special meeting, the LUDRC people are not here. So I see Graham, who has been very active in that. And I also see Caesar, who, thank you very much, called a Sunday morning meeting. So I don't want to hear that our council member is not active. And Caesar has been president of the West County Water Board. So he does speak the vocabulary of sewage systems. Sorry to say that way. So maybe between Graham and Caesar, we can get a brief update of what's happening and what that's going to look like. Graham, do you want to start?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
First of all, Phil, thanks very much for including us in this meeting at such short notice, and also Caesar, thank you, sir, for turning up on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. On Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It's been a long week for you. Basically, what we want out of this Keller Beach sanitary storage system is we want information as to what's happening, and we want to have a voice in what's happening. And right now, we're not getting either. The situation, as probably most of you know, who have been involved in this, is that this has been drifting on for about 10 years. And then about 3 weeks ago, notices were stuck on our doors saying that there was going to be a evaluation undertaken to move the sewage system inland along out of the water, which needs to be done, and run it under Ocean Street, Grandview Court, Western Drive. And they had basically vaguely considered repairing the old system, but according to them, that wasn't feasible. Well, this is quite a leap from what was originally proposed by the City Council, when they were meant to be considering 3 alternatives, one which was to repair the existing pipeline and to look at 2 other alternatives. We now seem to have defaulted into one consulting firm who is just proposing the one alternative, which is to dig up all of those roads. And we have not been included in any meetings. We were meant to have, I believe, what was it? Something like 8 public meetings and 3 council meetings, and so far we haven't had any. And of course, we are going to be very much affected by this also, but as also as the rest of the city, because this could cost millions of dollars and could take, according to a sanitary engineer, 3 to 5 years to do. And of course, during that period, if they're digging up Western Avenue, they are blocking up one of the main emergency exit roads out of the point in the case of something going wrong. So what we've done, we contacted Caesar, who sort of fired himself out of a cannon over this. And we had a meeting on Sunday, and we've decided to set up a sort of a small working group, which will work in parallel with the PRNC and will act as a link between concerned citizens, Caesar, the PRNC, and the City Council. And what we want to do is to compel Coastland, who are the contractors on this, under a $475,000 contract, which very well may have been in breach of the California Code because it was a non-competitive contract, and are meant to be, all contracts in excess of $50,000 are meant to be subject to public bids, despite what certain people in the city seem to think. So what we've done, we've decided to set up a small local group to act as a bridge between Caesar, the city, and the PRNC to make sure that we are kept informed as what to happen, make sure that Coastland lives up to its requirements to keep us involved, make sure that the city begins to take this a little bit more seriously and just doesn't default into giving a contract which is on land, and also to keep all of the community involved. Now, once again, the critical players are going to be, first of all, Caesar, secondly, the PRNC, and for a temporary basis, this small committee that we have that will help involve the rest of the community in deciding what is best for the point and which is going to be the most cost-effective way for this to be carried out, which would require having a full-scale feasibility study. Caesar, do you have anything to say?
You summarized it well, or more than well. Great there. What I added on the chat there for anyone that's interested, Graham and a few other individuals, actually I see Carolina here. Hi, Carolina. Have created this kvsewerresidents@gmail.com. And I believe they're using that as a way of communicating with the community that's being affected. And we did form this past Sunday and the Keller Beach Sewer group. And it's a small group for now, but we're going to be mighty. We're going to communicate with the residents. And then for anyone that was up at midnight or almost at midnight last night, you might have heard the news that we're going to have a community meeting to discuss this in the first weekend of April. As Graham mentioned, per the contract that was approved about a year ago, there was actually 3 community meetings that are sort of paid for. We have not had any. So I try to force their hand in doing one ASAP. Their contract is due or is up at the end of June. I will also be requesting additional community meetings because their work is not going to be done in June. So I will be requesting additional community meetings, at least one per quarter, so they can come out and update the community. Those meetings will be separate or in addition to our group committee meeting. And those we haven't figured out a cadence yet, but I am available to meet with the group and we're going to try to provide as much information as possible. And we're working alongside with the city, with the staff in providing those updates. So any questions, concerns you may have, please email me and I'll type my email in the address here as well. And then also CC the kvsewerresidents@gmail.com if you want them to know your concerns, but feel free to email me as well. Right now, there is no project. Right now, they're just doing the testing. But we do want to make sure that we get all the community input and feedback. So as we move forward with the potential project, that we have what you want and what you need and your concerns. Because as Graham mentioned, that street is an emergency evacuation route, or part of it is. So we want to make sure that we have that in mind as well as we move forward with anything that happens in that street there. And I see Carolina's hand in there. Carolina, anything to add there?
Thank you, Caesar. I did just want to add that the fact, I think they mentioned yesterday, the head of public works mentioned yesterday also at the council meeting that there is currently no project. And we understand that there's currently no, plan to break ground and move the sewer inland. But I think all the communication we've gotten is that the existing situation is pretty dire. And there's a risk of the sewer leaking into the bay at any moment. So it's imperative that, we come up with a solution. And I think our concern is that currently there's only a feasibility study for one option. So I think our main demand is that the city needs to conduct a feasibility study for all options and then compare the options, the cost, the disruption to residents, the issues with the emergency routes and all of that. Basically compare all the feasibility studies at once before making a decision. We're worried that conducting a feasibility study for one possible solution is going to mean that once we get the input from that, we're going to have just a single option. And then we will have a project based on the single option without knowing the alternative. So I think understand that there currently isn't a plan to break ground anytime soon, but given the dire situation, we think that the feasibility studies for the other options need to basically start soon. We need to start thinking about what the options are.
Thank you, Caroline. I want to mention, and Caroline, if you have any way of capturing a link to your Nextdoor post, for those of you who are on Nextdoor, Carolina has started a thread that is extremely layman friendly, easy to understand, and I think quite comprehensive. I did link to that when we sent out the email from the PRNC, but if there's any way you can capture that and post it, it would be great. I'm technologically not so good at that. So
I'll do
for
that,
those
yeah.
of you who have Nextdoor, I think it's a really great post. Thank you all so much for being involved. This is certainly going to affect us. And I think the important point to remember is the statement that this is our major evacuation route from both sides of the tunnel. So emergency vehicles and cars need to be able to utilize Western Drive. So thank you so much.
Phil, there's a hand up.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I didn't catch you, Kathleen. I do apologize.
No problem. I was wondering, this small subgroup that Graham and Caesar are working with, will meetings of that group be noticed to Point Richmond Neighborhood Council members or to the public?
Well, if I may answer that, look, we're very anxious to get the PRNC involved in this, and unfortunately, we had to move pretty quickly. And everybody seemed to have a lot of conflicting arrangements. But yes, the PRNC will be intimately involved in this. And at the moment, we have representatives who are mainly from Ocean Drive and Grandview Court and a little bit of Western Drive, but we don't have anybody representing Western Drive on the Keller Beach side of Washington. And we'd really like to have somebody from that part of the neighborhood that's going to be affected involved, because it seems as though the way these things are structured, things are broken down to what they call sewerage sheds, and I know that can lead to all sorts of miscommunication. But they're basically three. There's one which runs from the Long Wharf of Chevron to about along Ocean to Marina. Then you have a second shed, which would be from Marina through to about where Western runs into around about where Western dead ends, and then you go up to where it runs into Washington, and then you have the Washington side to Keller Beach. We'd really like to have somebody from that Washington to Keller Beach section of Western to be working with us on this committee, so that everybody in the whole length of this pipeline is going to be affected, will be represented. Any volunteers?
Thank you.
Anybody, and of course you can count on the PRNC if you give us enough notice to communicate it in our monthly newsletter.
We will do
Can
that.
I just ask a question? When you're saying Marina, do you mean Marine Avenue?
Sorry.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
right.
That's all I wanted to know. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, gentlemen. We appreciate you putting together a last-minute presentation. And again, I was quite impressed that our council member got up so early on a Sunday morning to have a meeting. Let's go on and go with some of the
donuts. So that was the trick.
Is that all it takes?
No. You guys didn't eat the donuts. You left it to fatties like me to consume them. So
let's go on and do some community briefs. We do have an LUDRC related vote that's going to happen in a few minutes, and I see that we have a full house. So we are going to need to take a vote on the issue that's happening simultaneously at the Design Review Board. Is Fran or anybody here from Masters this evening? All righty. Nope. Looks like we can move on.
I do. I have the RNCC report, so, and I'm gonna try to keep it short as possible. So for this month's meeting, this is a record turnout we've ever saw. We had 41 people on Zoom, that's impressive. So we heard from the staff, they provide their reports. So let's see. So for our featured speaker, we had Raven SR/Republic Services. They provided a presentation to us about the hydraulic fuels, and I'm like, okay, this sounds very interesting. So it was a good presentation, that sort of thing. So for old business, we had about we talked about uh, the annual dues for the PRNC. It's still $40, so it hasn't changed much. So, and then the third thing is under new business. I had mentioned to the board about inviting a speaker to come to a future meeting to talk to us about what the California Alliance for Retired Americans what they do. So it was a suggestion I brought to Ardo, and so he taken it under the board under consideration. So that being said, our next meeting is going to be March 13th at 7 p.m. And this one is very important because our featured speaker for that meeting is Lisa McIntosh, who will be talking to us about the proposed water rates for East Bay Mud. So that should be interesting. So it starts at 7 and that's it. And I just kept it short.
Thank you
Questions
so
from the
much,
group?
Cordell. I
Hi,
appreciate
this
No
is Jessie on behalf of Fran. Fran was not able, she had the same problem I did tonight, being allowed into the meeting. I got in after half an hour, but she apparently gave up. And she did mention at the PRBA today something about what play is happening right now. And I wondered if there was anyone else in the maskers or who heard that, who might mention how much longer the current play is going to be going on, so we can go and support the maskers.
more to follow. Someone can Google that in the next few minutes. Perhaps I will. Okay, thanks, Jesse. Let's see if I can Google that while we're doing the others. Anybody here is Gary? Here's Gary for Richmond Tennis.
Yeah, I'll just make a comment. I went to see the play. The last one is still playing, and I don't know when it's done, but it's it's an Agatha Christie mystery around, and then there were none. It's a great fun. So you really should go. I don't know when it ends, but you can look up the maskers on their website and find it. What is it?
Thank you. Thanks, you
Okay,
guys.
great.
Actually, Gary, the play was over last Saturday, so the next show they're going to do is called Row.
Okay, sorry about that. You missed it. It was great. But
And surprisingly, Cordell has facts, figures, dates, and numbers right there in his head. Go figure. Thank
a couple
you,
other
Jesse.
comments.
And,
I like to first say, Cesar, I just want to say, in your first week as a council member, Mayor and I were one of the group that actually got evacuated because of the hillside, and we're gone for a month and staying in a hotel room down in Emeryville. Some people say it's a vacation. I said, no, it's not. But Cesar actually came and joined us, actually came to the hotel, the Zoom call, and we had several meetings and very quickly resolved, got us back in our homes. It's not all solved yet. There's still some other work to be done for long-term mitigation. But Cesar, I just want to say how big a help you were and worked with the city council and the mayor to make that all happen. So in your first week, thank you very much. Doing a great job.
Thank you,
Okay,
Gary.
Thank you.
And we get thank you. And we get oh, are you done, Gary? I'm sorry.
No, I'm not done.
Okay, sorry.
A few quick things. The tennis courts behind the plunge, just remind everybody, there are 2 courts back there. There's actually a sign on the front door of each one of them. And you can, if you want to reserve time, you just put your name on there. And that way you can make sure you got a court if you want it. Also, there's a bocce ball court that's on the west side of the plunge. I just swept it the other day. So if you are interested, my phone number is actually on the agenda. We have equipment in the shed that's back there. If you want to learn how to play bocce ball, give me a call and you'll have access to the balls as well. The last thing I had from an HBF standpoint, Richmond used to sponsor an event called Snowball, where they really interviewed outstanding students throughout the county, and it's in its 70th year. And so the last 2 years, the mayor and I got involved because it was slowing down because of COVID. And so RTA has become the fiscal agent for that. And HBF, the Hroba Benefit Foundation, actually sponsored a host with the students at Laura's Fine Dining last Friday with the families. And the mayor came, Cesar was there, And it was just so great to see these kids that, you know, that they're not just straight A students, but they are really community minded. And it was just so great to see them and help give them a hand as they get on to their first year of college. So you'll hear more about it. But Snowball is an event that's been here a long time and is something we really can do to reward some of our really outstanding students. And you'll hear more about it next year and hopefully be able to help to participate. That's all I got. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you so much, Gary. And I guess Graham's back with us again. Hey, Graham. On Red Oak Victory. Unmute yourself, Graham.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks, Phil. Yes, Red Oak Victory. We're still there. We hope to start the sort of famous pancake breakfast in April. Then we also at some stage start to have to try and recommence our movie nights, which used to be, I believe, on the third Thursday of every month. One of our problems being is, as due to COVID, we're now very short of volunteers, and because of that, we can only be open now one day a week, which is Sunday from 10 until 3. So not only would we like people to come and visit us, we'd also like you to come and sign up and join this merry band of sailors. The Red Oak Victory is a historic ship. It was the last of the ships that was built by the Kaiser shipyards here. He built 747 ships in about 5 years, and she is the last one alive. And so we want to keep it going, but we really do need some further volunteers. So if anybody's interested, we have a website, redoakvictory.com. Please log in there and sign up. And we hope to start seeing you on Sundays and at our pancake breakfasts. Thank you.
Thanks, Graham.
Oh, Graham, when is the pancake breakfast? April?
Well, we haven't finalized the dates as yet. As I say, part of the problem being is getting what's left of the crew together to organize these things. But I would anticipate it to be in April, and we'll probably try and start getting our messages out next month, March.
Thank you, Graham. Okay, and Peter is not with us today from table tennis.
I'm sorry, Philip, I had a question about the ship.
Sure, Layla.
Are we able to maybe, I don't know about this year, but maybe next year, do something with the school that we can do a field trip?
We would love to do something with the school. In fact, we have done them before with Washington School and also with our other schools. We had the kids down for half a day. They bring along their own lunch. They can have lunch on board. We give them all sort of a guided tour of the ship and give them a bit of history. So yeah, we'd love to have you along.
All right, we will talk. Thank you very much.
That's fantastic.
Philip, I'm here.
Hi, Diane. I know.
It's me.
Fresh in from improving our community. It's Diane.
I hope everyone has gone by our library garden. It's completed. A big thank you. Of course, the city came in and got the irrigation going, trimmed the big trees. A big thank you to Ruth Forcetto for the design and Jose Sanchez for doing all the completion work in the garden. We're really proud and thanks for the Gateway Foundation to make it happen. So I hope you all get to come by and see that. Also, I wanted to mention, I don't know, Philip, Gary, and Peter were going to trim the grapevines. Have you picked a date yet to do that at the Map Garden? I'm wondering if that could be worked out and you could let me know and I can come down and clean up from the pruning.
I'm pretty free, so I'll try to get together with Peter and it's not such a big job, Gary, if he's available, and see if we can get it. It seemed pretty well trimmed when I looked at it the other day, and I suspected that somebody had.
Well, we cut it when they got so long. We trimmed, but that's as far as we could reach. But I would appreciate it. It would be great. Also, want to say we're going to have our March meeting on the 7th at 11:30 at the First United Methodist Church, the Brown Bag, and we're having discussions on choosing our local charities for the year, a nominating committee for 3 open positions that will be coming up in September. And then we'll also be talking about a big fundraiser in April, rummage sale and a membership drive. So we have a lot going on, and we're keeping busy, but thank you.
And Diane, after decades, a few days of magic and hard work, and that's spectacular. For those of you who haven't been down to the downtown triangle, I think we should explain what happened. That raised triangle bed behind the library across from Starbucks, where Starbucks used to be, is now an exquisite drought-tolerant river of stone and landscaping. And it looks as elegant as any neighborhood in town. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take a look, go take a look. Okay, so now we've got something kind of important that would normally be handled by the LUDRC or by Charmaine. But I don't think we actually need them to be here to explain the situation. As we speak, all of those folks are either out of town or are in the design review board meeting concerning the Brickyard Cove project. The LUDRC has met with the developer of the Brickyard Cove project on many occasions. I hope that there is nobody here who does not know how fraught with problems that is. I watched about an hour and a half of the meeting and had to sign off before I could speak to get to this meeting. But what we do want to do is point out that the LUDRC has unanimously voted to contact the city and the design review board to object to the Brickyard Cove project for a list of reasons that is far longer than I can possibly mention in the next days. We have yet to really run into anybody who supports that project as it stands. And so we have been asked to take a vote for what it's worth, to support the LUDRC's determination that they would like to reach out to the city. And I'm sorry, because I'm new at this, and this is usually what Charmaine does. So we would like to take a vote. And our vote, and I'd like to propose that our vote is to support the LUDRC's decision to ask the city not to support the ongoing project at PG&E. We don't have a lot of say, but we would like to put it on the record. Buzz or Margie, if one of you might want to swoop in perhaps and see if you can clean up my language a little bit.
No, I think you've
Lisa?
done a fine job.
That sounds
Okay.
great.
Lisa, you with us? Lisa, will you make the motion because you're better at this, and then I'll second it? Lisa's not with us. Okay. So I apologize to the members because this is my first vote. So Buzz?
Yep.
Can you make the motion and I'll second it, or do you want me to stab
No,
at
I
it?
think you said it just fine.
Okay, I'd like to move that we take a vote in
Yep.
support of the LUDRC's recommendation against the PG&E project.
Correct.
Okay,
Do you want to do hands up?
so somebody needs to
I'll
second that.
second the motion, Philip. This is AJ. I'll second the motion.
Thank you very much. It's moved and seconded. Now we will take a vote. I will remind you that we've got a lot of people here right now. Only active members can vote. So we are voting to support the LUDRC in this vote. You can raise if you will start by raising your hands if you know how electronically, I think, or should we do it visual? We can't
No.
really do it visually because
No,
so many people
No,
aren't here.
electronically.
Okay, if you know how, and if you don't, I'll remind you. If you go just down to the bottom of the screen, and you'll see a little smiley, where is it? Where is the here? Okay, you'll see a little smiley face. Click on the
That's
little
under-
smiley face, and then at the bottom of that menu, it says raise hand.
Yeah,
So it-
reactions, yeah.
Reaction.
Bill,
Yes, ma'am.
Is there like a way to briefly summarize what the issues are?
No.
No.
The answer is, the answer is no.
Kathleen, Kathleen,
But
Kathleen,
Mhm.
Kathleen. The one part of the project runs right along Brickyard Cove Road. I don't know how many homes are there. All the homes on the drawing are over the property line, too close to the road. Just to show an example. That's the one example I know that is out of order on that,
Right.
on those plans.
I
If
don't
that
want to be, I don't want to be flippant. There are literally so many. I'm going to do the best I can. They are building gigantic retaining walls that will completely become canyons of concrete for Brickyard Cove, Brickyard Landing residents. They are raising these properties. They're going to raise the ground level in order so that they can sell properties with bay views. Frequently, this will be now blocking the bay views of people who live above it in Gary's development. What's it called?
Seacliff.
In Seacliff. There is way insufficient environmental EIR reports, environmental impact reports. During the construction for approximately 6 months, 185 trucks full of dirt will be going up and over Seacliff Way and Marina Bay Parkway, or Marina Bay Road, which means that sorry. Oh, hi, Mayor Corbin. So it's nonstop dump trucks into an area where people don't have air conditioning, which means that they will likely need to keep their windows closed. The project has not offered any alternatives, which is standard. So they can put the same amount of density in a lower physical space. So bottom line, out of town developer, gonna come, gonna sell and leave. This is all happening literally at the time when the hill is crumbling into Gary's backyard. So, and Marin's and any others. So the challenge with this, of course, is that after the builder would be responsible for landslides for 10 years, as I understand it. And please bear with me if I misspeak, because this is not my area of expertise. I'm trying to do it in layman's terms because I'm a layman. The developer would be responsible for the landslides for the first 10 years, after which the condo association or homeowners association would be responsible. And right now we're seeing the problem, the horrible problem with the landslide, that inevitably, I think that we are going to have lawsuits for years concerning who's responsible, whether or not it's the Parks District, the city, or the homeowners association, or some conversation of which, of all three. It is a raw deal, and I have not heard a single resident or a single expert who supports this plan. So I didn't mean to be flippant, Kathleen, but it's pages and pages and pages and pages of problems. So let's go ahead and take that vote. I'm assuming that so now if your hand is up, you are supporting that the PRNC will back up the LUDRC and ask this and express our concern to the city. So if you are an active member, please raise your hand if you would like to support that, and we will count the raised hands
17 so far, Phil.
on both pages.
18. I have a count, an actual digital count.
Oh, that's fantastic. So we have 18.
Now I've got 19.
So far we're in favor at 19 of supporting the LUDRC.
Of supporting out of 40 people that are logged into the Zoom call.
Correct. And not everybody here is an active member.
Correct.
Many people are not.
I want to vote in yes or whatever the vote you
Okay.
want is, but I can't find that hand on my iPhone.
That's fine. It works differently on the phone. So we'll add Jesse and we'll add Lisa Johnson, who I have a text from. Buzz.
Okay. We're at 21 then, 22.
Okay, now, is there anyone else who would like to speak up who doesn't know how to raise their hand electronically? Louise, that was me for years. I'm terrible at the interwebs. Okay, now, so we've got 22 at this point, Buzz, in favor of writing that letter to the city. Okay,
22.
if you are opposed and you are an active member, will you please raise your hand?
Hang
So
on,
if-
everybody's got to take their hand down first. though.
Right.
Well, that's more difficult.
Yeah.
And don't be shy to speak up. We're friends here and we can agree to disagree if anybody is opposed. Is
It's the
anybody
best.
opposed? I still see some hands up, but they're the
Sorry
same
about that.
hands.
I don't know how to do my hand up. I just raised mine.
I don't mean to.
That's okay. Okay, no, I'm monitoring that the hands that are up were up.
Okay, I've still got three people with hands up, whether you're,
Okay, Lisa definitely is opposed to this. Margie
Yeah, no,
is supporting the motion. Margie
lowered
is
my hand.
supporting the motion. And so it leaves one that I see.
so I've got a Julie Alexander.
Julie, are you still up from before? Are you opposed to us writing to the city?
No, I'm all for it. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
take her hand.
I support the PNRC. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay, thanks, Julie.
You bet.
Okay, I'm a licensed auctioneer in 17 states. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going once, going twice. This is our last and final call for any objections, and it is unanimous. I'll get that letter out in the next couple of days. And I do again
Thank you.
apologize. I should have written this down, but it's been a busy PRNC week. So let's move along with that. To community briefs, part 2. Anybody here from CERT? Charmaine's out of town.
yes, she is.
Nope. Okay. Point Richmond Business Association. Karen, are you here? Anybody part of the business association or business association? I bet
can fill in
Cordell
for
can
Karen.
help.
I
Go
can fill
for
in
it.
for Karen. So today we had our first luncheon of 2023 since the pandemic. So we had about 20 plus people in the room. So we had Arnon Oren, he came and talked to us about his new restaurant, and Michelle Milam, she came and talked to us about crime prevention, and I think it was pretty interesting turnout. So that's one. And finally, the next luncheon is going to be March 29th. So put it on your calendars, from 11:30 to 1 p.m. at Hotel Mac in the little side room. And get a load of this. Our featured speaker for that one is Mayor Eduardo Martinez. So the mayor always draws people in. So hopefully that number will increase by then. So put it on your calendar, March 29th.
Thank you, Cordell. And it looks like Bonnie Jo is up next.
Yes, and I'm sorry to say that I have sad news. Jerry Serkanowitz passed away last Friday, February the 17th. Jerry was a founding member of the Point Richmond History Association, and in fact, its second president in 1988 and 1990. He was a major player in saving one of Point Richmond's oldest business buildings and arranging for it to be moved a block away so we would have a history museum. And we're very sorry, and I'm afraid we've lost a cog in our wheel and a really good person. That's it.
Thanks for sharing that news, although the news is quite sad, but anyone who knows him will remember him quite fondly. And certainly every time we pass that tiny little building, which originally was an order-taking building. It was sort of the office for a hardware and lumber concern, which is located where Margie's Gallery is right now, and then became a real estate office for a popular realtor, and then we was able to be moved. So that's sad news, but a life well lived. Thank you. I don't think Kate's here. Are you here, Kate? I think Magic Lantern doesn't have anything going on this month because Kate usually lets us know about that. So we're going to pass that for now. Anyone want to speak for Pram? Layla again? Hi, Layla. It's the Layla Show.
Hey, everybody again. So Pram, we're doing okay. We could probably use, I know you guys were talking about grants for small nonprofits, and that is us. So I might ask them to do a grant to maybe redo our yard. Our yard could use some new sand for the kids, you know, sand pit, or some new mulch, or some just extra cleaning just around. The poor building is in bad shape. So maybe we could use a grant for that. Also, Pram is also willing, of course, to help if there's a spring fling. We can do a kids corner. I know we have a lot of stuff from last year's games and stuff for our national night out that I know that I'm sure that we would love to contribute to the spring fling. And also just, again, if you have anyone that wants to come and volunteer at Pram, it's a place that is owned by the city of Richmond, and we just run it, parents, to enrich the kids in our neighborhood for baby toddler time during the day. And a lot of the kids go after school to study and play. And we could definitely use help in our garden, or if the West Side ladies can come over to the East Side and help us out a little bit in our garden. It's across the tracks, but you know, hey, and there's one of our kids that goes to school.
Hey, go to bed. It's late.
It's late. They're going to bed. All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
Oh,
Again,
I
we have
wanted-
a lot of kids in the community, and they love this spaces.
Thank you, Layla.
I wanted to point out that I deliberately passed on the Arts of Point Richmond, and I wanted to put them at the end because I want to explain what's going to happen now and what's happening with the spring fling. So we'll go back to Arts of Point Richmond in a minute. We have Pram. Anybody for Homeowners Association updates? Everybody's in that meeting. Okay, we're going to pass on that. Now I'm going to ask, is it Margie? Are you going to speak for Arts of Point Richmond?
Yes, and then you can speak for the event.
Okay, so there's a ton going on, and it's really
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, so just quickly, there are 35 artists that are being shown at Laura's Fine Food right now, Fine Dining, in case anybody wants to go check that out. There is a couple other things. Think about March 11th. There's going to be a party at 3 different locations to celebrate the art of the African diaspora, and it is in El Sol, at the library, and at Kaleidoscope Coffee. And then on May 5th, the Mom and Pop's going to have a big gallery opening on Cinco de Mayo. And then April 8th. Take it away.
All righty, but first, I know that you're very timid. I want to plug Margie's fantastic new exhibit that's open in the Point Richmond Gallery. And it's quirky and sophisticated, and I think worth taking a look at. What are your opening hours if people want to go in, Margie?
Saturdays and Sundays from 1 to 5.
Super. You're living in artist hours there.
Yes.
So I'm just gonna jump on Pram and Arts of Point Richmond and announce that this year we are doing the Spring Fling on Park Avenue. We're working with the city to close Park Avenue. It'll be the same configuration as the music festival and the same configuration as National Night Out. Pram will be doing a kids zone with all kinds of individual games. The Point Richmond Neighborhood Council will have group games like we'll have perhaps egg races. We're going to have a fancy hat competition for adults and possibly for children as well. We're working on it. So there's a lot of surprises. It'll be similar to the one that we did on the tennis court, but we have hired a DJ this year, which we're excited about because that DJ is a professional who specifically deals in street parties. So he's going to be able to set the scene for both the children in the morning from about 11 to 1 o'clock when we have children's activities. And that will be simultaneous with the art walk from the Arts Point Richmond. So there's something for adults and children. That is Saturday, April the 8th. That's the Saturday before Easter. It was a successful weekend last year for us. It allows Prnc and the Arts Point Richmond and the PRNC to get together and their resources, their money, and their volunteers to have a giant neighborhood party. There will definitely be an Easter egg hunt for sure. So please put that on your calendar, Easter weekend, Saturday the 8th. 11 to 1 o'clock. You'll hear much more about this in your mail and in your email. We're really excited because we believe that three organizations who are doing similar events should do them together and make them big and make them proud and make them fun. So this is an experiment. Trust us, we will be soliciting everybody for volunteers. So there we go. That also counts as a little bit of the update from the board members. Do any other board members want to update or fill in? I think Margie mentioned earlier, we're working on getting the grant from the tunnel project, right? Okay, Janice Claylot's in control. Now we're going to go to public forum.
That's me.
Cordell has asked to speak. He put it in the note. So why don't you start off, Cordell, as always?
Yeah, so I came up with a couple of ideas for guest speakers to come for next month. So as I mentioned during the report from the RNCC, I was thinking that we can invite Raven SR/Republic Services to come and provide us a similar presentation that they provided for us at the membership meeting. So that was one. And then the other possible idea was I was going through my notes from last year, and I said to myself, I think I mentioned it before about inviting Supervisor John Joya and someone from the county to talk to us about COVID, about the vaccination, for COVID. So those are the only two possible speakers to come for either next month or whichever month is available for them. So that's it.
I will add that to the list to discuss with the board. And I wanted to jump on that. Thank you. You reminded me something about when you said Republic. I forgot to mention you will be receiving postcards in your mailboxes. Dumpster Day is Saturday, March 25th. That's held right in front of the elementary school on Wine Street. We are having to reconfigure a little bit because the street has changed its configuration a bit, but we'll figure it out. And so that is the annual dumpster day. Please bring your postcards. And of course, we'll send out emails prior to that. That's March 25th on Saturday. Only Point Richmond residents will be allowed to dump this time. We kind of let everybody in last year, and we can't control that this year because the configuration of the setup's going to be a little bit different. So look for those postcards and email. Do we have anybody else? Sally, do you have anything? Kind of soliciting public forum right now. No, she's not with us anymore. Okay, anybody else for public forum? And then do we have any more celebrations or remembrances that anyone would like to share? Anna.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi there. I just wanted to thank members of the community. I don't know who a lot of you are. Some of you know who I am on Western Drive. Some of you don't. We don't need to get into that. Something happened at my house several weeks ago, and I've received a lot of notes in my mailbox of support and care. And I just wanted to thank the community for doing that for my family. It meant a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. It's a very tenuous situation. I think you have a lot of support. Any other remembrances or comments or celebrations? Ladies and gentlemen, this was a particularly long meeting. I appreciate you being here, but it was nice to check in with the kids and with the elementary school, kind of a nice change from all the serious topics. And it was nice to just get back to a little bit of a more balanced format. It's been pretty political over here and pretty real estate and development oriented for the last few months. And we look forward to it. I think that it sounds like we could use more time with law enforcement. So it might be nice to hear now from the police chief or Michelle Milam in the next few meetings. And I will invite the mayor to speak at this meeting as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. If you have any ideas for board members, let us know, because we really need you badly. Thank you so much, everybody. Good night.
Right.
Thanks for a good meeting.
Good night, everybody.
Be well, everybody. Take care.
Guys, thanks for making it happen.